Should we ban Greek life at Clemson? About 24% of Clemson students are members of a sorority or fraternity. Though many people live and breathe Greek life and want it to keep its traditions, some are advocating for it to be abolished or heavily reformed. The heated debate about whether or not Greek life should be abolished at Clemson and other universities nationwide focuses on the harm that it has on the community and individual members, while other sides of the argument focus on the preservation of fraternities and sororities by highlighting the advantages for individuals in different aspects of their lives and by providing ways to fix the negative sides of Greek life. The argument in favor of banning Greek life uses the rhetorical technique of pathos to describe both the harm to individuals and to the community as a whole, along with the logos technique of including statistics to support the argument. This ranges from deaths and serious injuries from alcohol intoxication and hazing to harm to others such as racism and sexual harassment. Many scholars and activists argue that Greek life fosters an unhealthy tolerance of alcohol and substance abuse, and that they should be banned because of this. In fact, multiple studies have supported this argument. In a popular study done at Harvard University, researchers surveyed a large number of people who take part in Greek life, those who are members of sororities and fraternities who live in designated homes, and those who are non Greek members. Their study found that 80% of fraternity and sorority members binge drink, compared to the 40% of students who are not in fraternities and sororities. The study later went on to conclude that 86% of those who live in frat houses engage in binge drinking, compared to the 81% who are members of the fraternity but do not live in the frat house. When compared to non-fraternity members, frat members are 41% more likely to engage in binge drinking. In terms of sororities, those who live in a sorority house compared to members who do not are almost twice as likely to commit an act that they regret, slack in school, or engage in unplanned or unprotected sex. Moving on, nationwide, there has been numerous instances of hazing which have negatively affected a large number of frat and sorority hopefuls. Though some defend hazing by claiming that it is a rite of passage and a part of Greek culture, some serious harm has been done, as depicted in the National Study of Student Hazing conducted at the University of Maine. This study showed that 73% of men and women in fraternities and sororities have been hazed. This can come in a variety of forms, such as being forced to binge drink, deprive oneself of sleep, or perform sexual acts with the opposite gender. There are also not as harsh forms of hazing, such as wearing embarrassing clothing, singing a chant, or only being allowed to associate with certain people. Some of these hazing cases have even led to death, such as the case of Clemson's very own Tucker Hips. Tucker Hips was pledging the Sig Ep frat at Clemson, and because he failed to perform a required task for the group, his older line brothers forced him to walk on the railing of a bridge, where he fell and drowned. Advocates for abolishing Greek life cite stories such as Tucker's to show the harm that it has on the people who choose to pledge a sorority or fraternity. Those who are working to ban Greek life on campus are claiming that it fosters a community of racism. Many fraternities have been suspended or shut down for racist acts such as chants or slurs. For example, the Sigma Alpha Epsilon fraternity at the University of Oklahoma was abolished because two members recorded a very racist video that I will now show. It may be triggering to some. There'll never be a nigger at sea. There'll never be a nigger at sea. You hang from a tree, but it'll never stop with me. There'll never be. Another example of racism in Greek life on our very own Clemson campus is a 2015 Christmas party hosted by the SAE fraternity. It was called Cripmas. It was a gang-themed party where students dressed like Bloods and Crips, with some even wearing blackface. In addition to hazing, alcohol abuse, and racism, many rely on the culture of sexual harassment in fraternities as a main reason to abolish them. Numerous studies have found that men in fraternities are 3 times more likely to rape and that women in sororities are 74% more likely to be raped than women not in sororities. Many fraternities joke about rape culture, as seen at Texas Tech and Wesleyan. Other fraternities, such as one at Swarthmore College, were caught having a meeting about buying date rape drugs and referring to a rape addict. Moving on, though a large number of people want to ban Greek life because of the negative aspects mentioned previously, many of those who advocate to keep it focus on the possible personal development of each member because of the opportunities provided. In analyzing this argument, it consists of the logos technique of presenting certain statistics and experiences that support each argument. One of the main benefits fraternity and sorority members claim they have is the unlimited access to connections in the workplace. Alumni members of the respective chapters and keep in contact with current members to mentor them and to use their Greek status as networking leverage when looking for a long-term job. Another benefit is that when they acquire their jobs, they have a higher sense of fulfillment compared to people who are not members of fraternities and sororities in college. As described in the Gallup-Purdue study, fraternity and sorority members who are employed full-time are 5% more engaged in the workplace when compared to all other college graduates. To continue, a huge part of Greek life that is a premise for keeping it for the benefit of the community is the emphasis on philanthropy. Every fraternity and sorority works to raise money to donate to one or few local charities and organizations. This helps to focus on building relationships with the people around them. At Clemson, there's even a fall day of service and Dominican Republic service trip, where last year they raised an impressive amount of $587,554 and completed 55,648 service hours. In regards to leadership, those who advocate for keeping Greek life on campus cite the amount of personal development and growth opportunities present. As noted in the Clemson Fraternity and Sorority Life Handbook, Greek members have the opportunity to achieve officer positions in their chapters while learning important skills such as team building, running meetings, event planning, and budgeting. Additionally, at Clemson, fraternities and sororities participate in personal development sessions that involve topics ranging from academic engagement to diversity and inclusion. We have discussed both of the extremes, completely banning Greek life and keeping Greek life the way it is, but many people are stuck in the middle. Therefore, they are providing ideas and policies to reform Greek life. Clemson and a number of universities are striving to reform their fraternities and sororities instead of banning them. At Clemson, there is a list of rules and regulation pertaining to alcohol for fraternities and sororities. For example, no alcohol is allowed to be involved in any recruitment activity, drinking games are prohibited, and at every fraternity and sorority event, there must be designated drivers and sober monitors. After these reforms were put into place in 2016, a spokesperson noted that Clemson has had fewer serious health and safety violations. In addition to the alcohol policies, following the death of Tucker Hibbs, whom we mentioned earlier, Clemson implemented the Tucker Hibbs Transparency Act, which publicizes all of the violations of student-led organizations. This act requires all public universities, except for technical colleges, to report conduct violations that fraternities and sororities commit. Moving on to other institutions nationwide, Penn State has also worked to reform Greek life instead of banning it. Because of the alcohol-related hazing death of Penn State student Timothy Piazza, the Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf signed the Timothy Piazza Anti-Hazing Law in 2018, which increased the criminal penalties for hazing by adding aggravated hazing as a third-degree felony. This law applies to all schools in Pennsylvania. Those in favor of reforming Greek life most often cite the positive changes that Penn State has seen. For example, fraternity crime cases reported dropped 30% after this renewed policy. This policy included the Timothy Piazza Law, a 6-week limit to recruitment process, and an extensive alcohol policy and several other changes. They have also been cracking down heavier on organizations that violate these policies, as evident by the 12 chapters that have been shut down in 2 years. Another argument in relation to reforming Greek life addresses the pressing issue of racism and exclusivity. As fraternities and sororities are mostly white, with some recognized black chapters, campuses are now making an effort to include more fraternities and sororities. For example, in 2017 at Clemson, the first Asian interest fraternity, Pi Alpha Phi, was nationally recognized as a chapter. The University of Alabama sororities have also become more inclusive. After testimony that the sororities were racially discriminating against non white women, all of the 21 black women who registered for recruitment were accepted, along with 169 other minorities. They note that they have not yet reached their goal and there is still work to do, but this is a good step in making Greek life more inclusive. To conclude, each argument provides reasons as to why Greek life should either be banned, kept, or reformed at Clemson and other universities nationwide. Those who are working to keep it focus on the individual's personal growth throughout their lives. Those who are against abolishing fraternities and sororities provided ways to change the current problem with it so that they could still thrive. Though all of the arguments provide thorough evidence to support their claims, it is up to each individual to decide for themselves given the information. So, it is my turn to ask you, should Greek life be banned at Clemson? Thank you so much for watching.